this is the first time in my whole life that I got a new job, started in a brand new company using Copilot, because in my other changes, there was no AI and no Copilot. So for me, it's a very new experience because I definitely have to ask less, because I just can search what people are working on and what this abbreviation means. And when I want to know something about customers and I have no idea, I just search for customer names and current opportunities and meeting notes. So it is so helpful when you just start a job and you have Copilot in your hands.
Welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week I have fellow MVP and friend Ragnar. We get into everything around Copilot governance and user adoption. Ragnar's a real expert in this area, so we get into some of the governance challenges. I ask him if AI will ever be able to do the job of configuring governance and managing governance. Really interesting conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Many thanks to Ragnar, and also many thanks to Neat, who are the sponsor of the podcast. Really appreciate their support of Empowering Cloud. On with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Exciting one this week. Ragnar and I have been going back and forward a bit on what we're going to talk about here, and we're going to get into some governance, some Copilot. He's one of the people I'll go to when I've got a sticky governance or compliance question. So Ragnar, why don't you just introduce yourself, and you've recently changed roles, so give us a little bit of context about your background and your new role.
Absolutely, more than happy to. First of all, thanks, Tom, for the invitation. Very happy to be part of this wonderful show, which I'm following since years now. Yes, I'm Ragnar Heil, living in the center of Germany in a very small town between Frankfurt and Hanover, so it's actually the center. And I just changed the role. I worked in the past for Ragnar, leading a partner sales team. Now I'm part of HanseVision, which is a legal entity of Bechtle, one of the largest Microsoft partners globally. And my role is here business development manager, 100% focused on Microsoft topics. And of course, I can bring all my favorite topics from my last 25 years of industry with me. So here we are very, very strong. SharePoint, we started in 2001 at HanseVision with SharePoint. And now everything is so focused here on Copilot, Teams, Power Platform, employee experience. So my role is I'm co-leading the employee experience competence center. On the other hand, I'm driving the new innovation topics, and there is a lot of focus, as you can imagine, on governance, but also on Copilot. And we have a business unit around Teams rooms and everything for advanced Microsoft Teams usage, as you may be.
Nice. So you're going wide again. You were super focused, and now you're back to kind of the stack. As you say, Copilot is the conversation at the moment. And Microsoft mentioned it 42 times on the earning call. So I imagine that's front and center for you. But interestingly, I feel like Copilot's made governance a bit more sexy, or at least a conversation now. I feel like it was always one of the things that everybody knew they needed to do, but it was always down the project list because it's hard work, it's complicated, it's important, and it's one of those projects that you can easily kind of string out. Is that fair? Have perspectives changed a little bit?
Yes, you're not wrong when you say that Copilot makes governance sexy, because you can literally find a needle in the haystack, which might be super interesting for you, but not designed to be ready for your eyes.
Yeah, and it makes it very obvious that things are potentially overshared, or that things aren't quite lined up. I've definitely seen in some of the organizations I get to talk to that they've done their 300 seats of getting their foot in and testing, and immediately it's ended up in we now need to take internal governance, sharing, labeling a bit more seriously than we have, because, as you say, it's not surfacing anything that the person wasn't allowed to use, but it makes it so easy that they're more aware of things have been overshared internally, for example.
Exactly. The interesting thing is that I worked 11 years for Microsoft in Germany, and before I joined Microsoft officially, I was part of Fast Search and Transfer, which later was the search engine of SharePoint. So I joined Microsoft by the acquisition of Fast Search. Now they're building all the crazy fancy stuff around Copilot. So I see a lot of boomerangs and loops in my whole life. And the things what we're currently preaching around checking the permissions on a regular level, like a monthly access review of your SharePoint in Teams and other kind of workspaces, is something what we already talked like in 2007. And I've got a video live stream running with Christian Buckley, our MVP friend called Guardians of M65 Governance, and Christian is also in the governance industry since 2001 or 3. And yeah, so it feels a little bit like we're talking like a broken record because the topics really have not changed. The only difference is that it's so easier and so faster to use Copilot and find this ugly needle in the haystack. And in old SharePoint search, it was much more complex, and you had to paginate through many different pages to find it. And now it's just one sentence. We say, very interesting content. I always wanted to know the salary of Jodo and Jane Doe and who are we going to acquire next.
Yeah. So I feel like Delve was our dry run on this, but the thing with Delve is, and for those, I'm not sure a lot of this community will know this conversation, but Delve was a way for kind of SharePoint search, and Ragnar, keep me honest, you know it better than me, kind of proactively surface things for users. And we went through this where, it's proactively surfacing things that we didn't think were shared, but a bunch of people just turned Delve off, and that was their problem solving. Nobody's going to turn AI off. Like, I feel like it's absolutely agreed that on some timeline, it's inevitable that we're all going to be using it in some shape or form. So there's no turning it off, really. I mean, technically you can, obviously, but practically as an organization, you're going to be hamstringing yourself if you're saying we're not using AI. So we have to now get governance labels, sensitivity right.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a question what I always ask in my customer workshops. How did you treat, how do you handle and manage Delve? If they say, no, listen, we never used it, it's completely out of scope, we have locked everything down, then maybe it's not the right time to introduce Copilot, because technically it's very, very the same kind of cultural thing.
Yeah,
and this is a very interesting point, because we easily talk about company culture. There are company cultures where there is sharing by default, so only the secret things should be locked and hidden and be part of private teams and private channels and so on. But other company cultures have cultures where they say, no, listen, everything is locked and closed by default. And I'm not saying that black or white is the right thing, open by default or locked, closed by default. But you need to make sure that you not only talk about the technical introduction of a Copilot by buying a license and assign it to users, but to make sure that the culture is ready. Because it can be explosive when people see things what they usually don't have on the desk. That can be explosive. So you need to make sure that you have a nice balance of tool set, mindset, and skill set, and not only just introducing a new tool, because otherwise you would overwhelm the company culture, who is not ready for this kind of transparency, and then the whole Copilot project would literally run against the wall and crash, and it would be damaged.
I love that tool set, mindset, skill set. That's a really great way to think about it. And I've seen successful Copilot projects, and I've seen less successful ones. And there's definitely been some of, we've bought our license, we've sprayed them out there at whoever put their hand up. And yes, they're using meeting recap and that's the thing that is a slam dunk, because everybody gets it. It's one button, it's proactive. But some of the other things are, certainly on the skill set front, it's kind of ironic that we're both pitching Copilot and AI is the thing that can be super helpful to save you time. And in the same sentence, we're like, but you need to learn how to drive it. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah. I see it all the time. So I just left a meeting where we had this discussion. Okay, should we just start and record it, and should we start and transcribe it? Oh, no, let's spend the first 10 minutes on the interesting stuff and keep it off the record. And when we finish the interesting conversation, then we go and record it. So this is daily stuff. And therefore I'm so enthusiastic about always making sure that my change management and adoption team is going to be added to Copilot projects. Because you need to go through this cultural transformation. Yeah. Otherwise, you use it wrong, and then you run into these security and compliance and governance issues, which can be very, very hard, especially around GDPR penalties. or you just lock everything down, and then you get too less value. So that's something what we want to prevent. Make sure that we are compliant. Many of our customers are in regulated industries, especially like banking and finance, and also others like defense and also public sector. They are regulated, but we also want to make sure that they get the most value. And we are very excited about the amount of workshops which we get from Microsoft, which we can give to our customers. A lot of great value discovery workshops focused on roles and getting the most ROI out of it. But if you want to have a serious conversation about ROI, then you cannot limit it too much down, because then there's just too less value.
Yeah, you've broken some of the key functionality.
It's a very nice balance between security, governance, and compliance, and it should go hand in hand. But therefore, we also need to work on the mindset that governance is a value, because usually customers have no idea what governance is. So I first have to introduce them what the idea about governance. And they usually talk, as a German, I talk about highways and cars. And then we say, listen, if it's a day in winter and the roads are full of ice and snow, yes, maybe you have a license. You are allowed to drive as fast as you can. Maybe there is no sign. Maybe your car also can drive 250 kilometers per hour. But here you should only drive 50 because it's full of snow, or maybe only 30. And don't care. And don't say, no, listen, there is no sign and my car is fast. And no, this is the way how you should behave on a snowy, icy street.
I like that analogy. That's a good one.
No signs. So it's all about safety. It's so for me, the biggest value is that everybody is willing to share content on a workplace, is using it every day, getting the maximum out of the license, increasing productivity, but it needs to be a safe space. And to have this kind of psychological safety at the workspace, people need to be confident what they can share. And that's the reason why I'm so passionate about governance, because if you don't talk about this left and right rails, which you have here on a highway, then people are not sharing enough and everything is locked on private OneDrives. And we are back in knowledge management in the early 90s. Yeah. And we haven't made any kind of progress regarding knowledge management. And I'm a part of Germany's society of knowledge management. So I'm enthusiastic about sharing knowledge, but it needs to be shared within borders. Otherwise, it can be risky.
That's awesome.
So this is the conflict and the challenge what I'm carrying, that I love knowledge sharing, but it needs to be controlled clearly. Otherwise, you share too much or share too less.
Awesome. So if someone's listening in, there's a lot of the teams kind of focused people in this community. They might not be as up to speed on the compliance, governance, security story. If I'm an E5 customer, do I have everything I need in the box to do a good job? Are there any add-on licenses? If I'm going down the Copilot road, obviously Copilot's an add-on, but should I be considering other licenses to do a good job on security, compliance, governance, or do I have what's in the box in E5?
I think when you have an E5 license and you go into pure view, this is the way how you can easily start. My main recommendation is always to use the pure view labels. As a European, I'm interested in being GDPR compliant, so you need to have rules around when do you archive and when do you delete. Because otherwise, if you never delete and you never archive and you never, then you have just a massive amount of content which is duplicate. And it's not only that Copilot is finding things the Copilot should not find for you. It's also about duplicate things which are completely outdated. So we also need a conversation about how to keep content fresh.
Yep.
That we don't have 30 versions of this PowerPoint slide flying around, because we want to make sure it's stored in one place and it's always fresh. Because otherwise you get wrong results. Usually people call it hallucination, but it's actually outdated content. And that's going to be one of the biggest problems. So it's not only this security and permission thing, which usually appears when we design, as consultants, we design nice permission permission matrix and permission specifications, and then people click on share, and then all the concepts are completely wasteless, completely useless, because everything has changed. It's not only about the permission part; it's also about the content freshness.
Yeah, that's a good. That's another good point.
Need to find duplicates.
Yeah, there's a motivation there, which is not just it's the right thing to do and it's GDPR. It's like, oh, okay, my employee productivity is going to be impacted if I'm feeding them old data.
And people really hate it to get wrong answers. They don't like to have hallucinations, but sometimes they don't see that it's hallucinating. If you go to ChatGPT and you would enter your name and there would be a wrong answer, you would immediately know, no, this is wrong, Tom. That's not me. But when we use Copilot and talk about PowerPoint and Word, sometimes it's not so easy to find out if this is from version 38 or from version 61. It's not so easy to find out. And that's the reason why we have to take care more about the cultural topic, that we don't have 30 versions of this Word document or slides flying around, but also making sure that we have an archiving and deletion process, because the users are hunters and collectors. That's what they do since they work in offices. And here we need PureView and the Compliance Center to help here, because users are overwhelmed by flagging and tagging these documents and saying, this document should be archived for half a year or for 3, 6, 9 years, and this should be deleted after 12 years. They're overwhelmed. And that's exactly the part where PureView can help, because it reads out your country, your industry, what your regulators expect from you. And this is read out, and then they know, okay, if it's a document with a job submission and the person didn't get the job, delete it after half a year. If the person got the job, then you have to save it for 6 or 9 years.
Yeah,
these kind of rules are super helpful, and here you need PureView. There is nothing. There's no chance to get it solved without the F5 suite and this kind of bundles and add-ons.
Awesome. But if you're going down the Copilot route, I think more often than not, you're invested in the Microsoft journey. You've got E5, so it's more about enabling those technologies than it is adding SKUs.
Exactly, because a lot of customers are thinking about using it, but then they say, well, we could introduce it, but we haven't heard a lot about GDPR penalties, so why should we spend the extra effort and buy it and enable it? Only the large ones, large American ones, are going to get large penalties around GDPR, but we will not face them. But now for Copilot, this is the perfect time. And I strongly recommend not to start immediately with enabling the Copilot licenses, but really start with PureView labels to archive and delete. Because the tenant gets dirty and cluttered every time. So when you introduce Teams, let's say 12, 15 months later, it's going to be cluttered. Unused Teams, unused SharePoint sites, duplicates. And then also the adoption goes down, because people think, I'm a part of 5 marketing teams. I don't know where to search. I don't know where to post. So I rather go back and fall into my old patterns, write an email with an attachment, because they don't know.
Or chat groups.
I see
loads
where to search and where to post.
Like you say, there's 5. Yeah, there's 5 teams called something marketing. And actually, they don't use any of the 5. They use chat. They're like, I'm going to pull together in a Teams chat the people and have the conversation there. It's like,
chat is crazy overused.
It hurts me, but you can see why people land there, right? It's path of least resistance. And actually, some of the stuff that's coming on the Teams roadmap around how channels behave and how chat behave, there's a lot of controversy there, but I feel like it's a really big step forward in usability, because it brings channels to the fore. And you're training people to use channels, which I'm really excited about.
Really looking forward to see this kind of integration, because currently chats are, from the knowledge management philosophical aspect, just a nightmare. Yeah. There's so much knowledge just lost in chats because you're not part of it. And I just started this new job a few weeks ago, and I can only read the content which is in official channels. That's something where I can read what happened the last years. It's very helpful, but the chats where I'm not involved in, I have zero insights, and also Copilot wouldn't help me.
No, because you weren't a member, so you weren't allowed to look at that. Whereas if you join a new org and you're allowed those channels, your Copilot permissions are allowed to see that data. So actually, you could get up to speed even faster, because your Copilot correctly has access to the right things you should know about.
Yeah. And Copilot is helping me so much. This is the first time in my whole life that I got a new job, started in a brand new company using Copilot. Because in my other changes, there was no AI and no Copilot. So for me, it's a very new experience because I definitely have to ask less, because I just can search what people are working on and what this abbreviation means. And when I want to know something about customers and I have no idea, I just search for customer names and current opportunities and meeting notes. So it is so helpful when you just start a job and you have Copilot in your hands.
Yeah, that's an incredible use case.
Chats are the enemies if you're not part of it.
Yeah, I feel like as we're talking here, I feel like there's a really good blog post in like, we all know governance and compliance is important, but here are the 5 usability reasons why it's important. This thing about old data, new employee, like I totally imagine now, if I go in some of the orgs that are using Copilot and put in what's the company's mission, it's absolutely going to pull out a PowerPoint from 3 years ago where the mission was different. Because, like you say, there'll be 17 versions of that mission statement over the course of the company's life cycle. So
exactly.
So here's one for you, right? So we're out here. Microsoft is saying AI is amazing; it can do all these things. Is AI helping us understand what data is already in the tenant, what is overshared, what should be labeled? It feels like an interesting use case for Copilot to help you with the governance potentially.
Yeah. Well, you've got, my background here, also working at Ranker, which is an ISV for governance tools. And I always created different kind of custom reports where I was searching for files which had file names which contain things like confidential, very confidential, but also inside there were text about confidentiality, So I was searching for this kind of file names and then looked, okay, where is no label attached? And I said, listen, this can't be true because this looks from all kind of file names and metadata, and also from the content inside of the document. It looks like confidential document, but it's not labeled. So that's something where I use governance tools to find this kind of documents. And they need to be relabeled because there are the wrong labels or there is no label. That's something what I scanned. I also scanned the growth of labels. Sometimes customers have too many labels and then it's going to be too complex and not used. Sometimes they have too less labels. So I'm also monitoring with these governance tools the growth of labels, and otherwise they are introducing too many labels and then it's not clear what they have to do. That's something what I always used. And then of course monitoring cost and because I want to make sure that my customers always get the maximum out of the licenses. And it can easily be that you start with a global end user Copilot introduction workshop, but then after 4, 8, 12 weeks, they're losing interest because maybe they just started prompting and they're disappointed by creating PowerPoint slides. That's the usual common way of being disappointed with a Copilot.
I remember what webinar you did where you were talking about generating PowerPoint slides, and it was, I've tried as well. It's not where the marketing is yet. It'll get there, but it's definitely not there yet.
But it works. It works when you know the right approach.
Yeah,
so
you did the word outline.
Create a nice Word document, and then from the Word document, if you like the quality of the Word document, then go to PowerPoint, and then just.
It's fun. It's funny where we are in the AI space, though, isn't it? Yeah. It's like it works if you stand on one leg and do this thing and this thing. It's amazing. It's like I thought the AI was clever. Exactly. It is clever, but it needs a lot of structure to be clever.
There are many limitations. Also, the public Bing search is not there. So I heard the rumor yesterday that it's going to be rolled out soon for Word. So Word is getting a Bing search a plugin, so it can search real life internet data. Hopefully, this is going to be also be part of PowerPoint, because currently you need to go to office.com and then go to Copilot and then enable the Bing web search plugin, and you get real life data out of it. But that was never working in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint because it was always the, November 2021 kind of data.
Yeah.
From ChatGPT 3.5. But now it's getting better because Word and PowerPoint are getting these plugins.
Oh, that's a good tip.
We always get more value. I'm super excited about the development. Every 3-4 days, I see a lot of progress, but we need to make sure that the customer also is going to be resilient, patient. And we have to be closer to the customer. Otherwise, we just start something, they're disappointed, and they want to stop it. And that's my goal, to be closer to the customer, understands their needs, because then we can follow up with more workshops, advanced prompting, or explain the updates and listen to their disappointments.
Yeah, it's not a one and done, is it? It's not turn it on and forget it. It is an ongoing adoption coaching.
I often see that customers want Copilot, they want to evaluate Copilot, but only reserve the budget for the licenses. But they completely underestimate the budget which is needed for adoption change management.
I see exactly the same thing.
Completely underestimated.
And I can see why, because it's a substantial investment. So people are like, it's $30 a user a month. I'm buying multiple users. There's a lot of money here. Also, it's a real tough one to pitch to the CFO, which is you're simultaneously saying, this is awesome, it's going to make you super productive, and you need a multi-week adoption project to get people to use it. It's like, what if it's amazing? Why do I need to train them? But I mean, you're absolutely right, though. It's to get the most out of it. And you can see it in the customer examples of people that are doing well with it have a full-time lead on the project. They have working groups. The other thing I've seen work super well is deploying it to groups of people who work together. So they kind of self-coach. Like if you splatter it over the entire org, you might get some individuals who are super proactive, but typically they're back to their work habits. Where if you say this, all of marketing get Copilot, all of Project X get Copilot, and kind of like we do with project management, have someone who's like a champion for that project to be like showing their peers, where do we get value? But this all requires thought and user adoption. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, and I believe also that the topic of employee experience is getting more important than ever, because with the introduction of Copilot, the interest or the attention of Viva went down. But I'm still part and very, very committed part of the Viva Explorers MVP group. And I think that Viva is going to be rebooted now, because we see that it's so important that, first of all, my own learning skills around prompting and large language models, I can use Viva Learning. I can share my experiences with prompting in Viva Engage groups and communities, but I can also use Viva Insights for the Copilot adoption workshops. So, for example, when my change management team here goes to the customer and does change management workshops, they always talk about KPIs, how to define goals, and what do we need to achieve. And this kind of goals can be written down in Power BI reports and then also imported into Viva Insights. Currently in private preview, but this is something where Viva Insight is going to reinvent itself, because in the past it was always this little thing about focus time and some nice smileys. It was not really so much valuable. There was the big monster called Workplace Analytics, which was very, very difficult to introduce. But now we see Viva Insights getting a kind of reboot by being the number one Copilot dashboard with out-of-the-box dashboards coming from Microsoft, but also your custom dashboards, which are just a result, a deliverable coming from your change management workshops in Power BI embedded into Viva Insights.
Yeah, I've always been a big proponent of enterprise social tools and Yammer back in the day, particularly in big orgs. Like, there's just a real good use case for it.
I love it.
I feel like I'm excited that Microsoft absolutely want to land Copilot and AI. Viva feels like a good tool set to help that happen. So I'm sure Viva will continue to get investment as a tool. As you say, Viva Engage, what a great platform to build your Copilot community around, your internal Copilot community around. There's definitely an interesting use case there.
I was the most active user at Microsoft Germany when I worked there in Yammer. And now I'm missing Yammer. We have Yammer in our company, so that's amazing. But every single day I see, now I'm in this team and I cannot reach these 2 or 3 people. And then I just have to screenshot things and paste the screenshot into a chat and think, this is so ugly. It feels so ugly to just paste screenshots, because you cannot mention people because they are just not part of this private team.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember the?
I love Teams so much. Don't get me wrong. I love Teams much.
Yeah, me too.
It's
like other teams.
I use it.
Yeah.
I live and die in Teams, but it's too close. So this whole concept of having these private teams where I cannot mention people is a differentiator to Viva Engage. I fully get it. But
obviously Viva Engage is now pretty much embedded into Teams as well. So you haven't got the same level of context switching which you had before. It was a tough pitch, particularly in not massive orgs. In massive orgs, it was really easy, right? You've got 60,000, 100,000 people. You absolutely need a different tool to address the entire community. When you're in multi-thousand user orgs, it's tough because you're like two different products. They both look. They have a box. They have replies. Like it was tough. I don't know whether you remember, like Microsoft used to have the virtual TSP program, and we had B-Dash accounts. Oh yes. And that was like the V-Dash. Yeah, that was like my secret weapon for years.
The P-sellers. That was crazy. Yeah, where the P-sellers could access Yammer. Yeah, and they had the full ocean of knowledge.
It was amazing. I met so many people through Microsoft's Yammer because I could ask questions.
This was a massive amount of source.
Yeah. I was really sad.
They just loved it because the account team always shared knowledge about their customers. And the sellers were always silent, lurking, and getting so many leads from it.
I was super active on it. I was like, I'll just ask a question of anybody inside of Microsoft. But you'd get engagement from product group from everybody because. But that was a good example. Obviously, tricky these days.
This sounds like from a completely different time.
It was so long ago. It was pre all the GDPR fun that has kind of locked that down for good reason, obviously. But it's a good example of enterprise social bringing people together. Awesome.
It was locked down at the moment when they shared a really target account Excel sheets. And then everybody noticed, they are the latest, hottest target account Excel sheets, and then everything was shut down.
I'm sure there's some very, very good reasons why it was locked off, but it was fun times. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ragnar, thanks for taking time to share your perspective. Excited for you in the new role.
We enjoyed it.
And we'll definitely pull you back in the future to talk more about the Copilot and governance and adoption because it's such a hot topic.
Thanks for having me, Tom.